All right, and let's hit start streaming.
The button.
Hit that button. Push the tempo. I think we're good. This is the 365 Message Center. The week that was a hell of a week. Actually, the week that was isn't even part of our intro now, is it?
No, you messed it up again, Darrell. It's okay, though. I forgive you, but...
It must be forgivable. Do you want us to sort of hum the intro? For those of you who have been waiting in the chat room and going, come on, guys, again, really? Our OBS software is not working. Our Stream Deck is not working. But we have fallen back on the tried and trusty and true Pexip. Thank you very much, Graham from Pexip. You had a very successful Ignite, so we're glad that we've got that service still available. Daniel, where are you? Where are you right now?
Darrell, I am located in the world headquarters of InfoWorks. We are in this wonderful conference room. I've got you plastered on the big screen and my computer. So it's great. And really, as I have said on Twitter and I have told you, the reason why I'm here and not in my normal studio is that I have a special guest today. Would you like to find out who the special guest is?
Well, yeah, for the those of us joining online, I don't know who this person is. And Dan said it's a bit like when you have a scan for your baby, right? You go, do you want to know if it's a boy or a girl? Do you want to keep it secret?
Baby.
You know. And so
I get you. I hear what you're saying.
You're about to birth this surprise. So surprise me, Dan, because I don't know what's coming. I do know that it is a girl, not a boy, unless it's Anyway, we'll just leave it at that.
Okay, let's just go ahead and do it. I am very pleased, and he's covering his eyes. I'm very pleased to welcome to the show, live and in person, the wonderful, fabulous Anna Chu. Come on.
Whoa!
Oh my gosh.
Hello, Anna.
Hi. Hold on, let me get
She's getting her plugged in her ears. So Anna is passing through, and I said, well, as long as you're passing through, why not join the show?
Yeah.
And she graciously.
I can't really hear anything though.
No, he'll talk.
Hello. Oh. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yay!
You can hear me? Should I do karaoke? I mean, I know you like karaoke. Oh, okay. Let's stop right there.
Yes, everyone does.
Well, nice to see you from this corner of the earth.
Yeah.
It's how was your week? How was your week in Orlando?
Well, I mean, we crossed paths a few times, but you know, it was busy, wasn't it? Well, what do you reckon, Dan? Should we get into that week, or should we have a look at some of these announcements?
I think we should talk a little bit about our experiences. Spend a couple minutes on that about what the Regarding 365 team did, and you and I did, and get Anna's take on all of that interaction, and then dive in a little bit to the Message Center and talk about a couple of things that we kind of hinted about or knew about beforehand, and how we see that impacting the community, and then maybe some other things. But so that sounds great.
All right, yeah. Well, back to Anna's question, we'll talk about this briefly, and then we'll circle back on one of these big topics we think was emerging out of Ignite. The Regarding 365 team we got stuck in, and remember last year there was just 5 or so people that just happened to be speakers who were on the team, and we thought, hey, let's do something together. And a couple of us were community reporters. So we wanted to try and create the same experience, but we had so many more people on our team, some great people that love to contribute content to the community. And we managed to get them together, and we made best of it. And I think everyone had a good time sharing their experiences and writing a bit and videoing a bit and just having a good laugh. It was I felt like a community within a community at Ignite. Yeah.
Very good. So are you still going through all your video output right now to try and get us, you must have reams and reams of it.
Yeah, something I did different this year, Anna, and I want to try and pass this on to the community. Is I created a lot of my video directly from my mobile, so I recorded it there, but I also produced it from there using a couple of apps. So I was able to piece it all together in the segments and then push it up to YouTube within minutes later. So there is some more hefty footage, like interviews with Caruana and other various people. But yeah, I tried to keep it simple, and I think it worked.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and I was actually going through some the big announcement interviews that I did on first day. I had already put those out on Twitter, but I was piecing those together for kind of like the keynote interviews, and then I had interviews, especially right before our debate, asking people, hey, what do you want to get out of this session, and what is your opinion on this? And so those were great, 30-second conversations we had with several members of the audience. So I'll piece those together too and link to the video from that is now posted from the session. So. Yep.
Oh, so you said the debate, was that right, Dan?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So we actually improved on that recording, so I know that it's there and it's got a like an inset with the people on the stage, and then that's So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to do a screen grab of YouTube because I also had my phone pushed at the stage, and it was perfectly framing the team. And I know someone got quite cheeky, and they kind of tried to stylize it like a Renaissance painting, and make it look like the Last Supper, because there was all these sorts of poses, and it was awesome.
There were some interesting poses, so that was wonderful. But
you need to meme that.
Yeah, I think so.
There already are.
So.
Yeah, there are some already. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, apart from that, look, we got around and saw a few more sessions. I know that my focus, like Dan, was to talk to people and get their reactions and thoughts as I was going around. People were generally happy to do that because they did have an opinion about what happened at Ignite, and for them, whatever path they took through that for the sessions they attended. And I think, too, that the message got through about people were encouraged to share with the people beside them and make that part of the learning experience, too. So that was successful.
That was something that we talked about going up to, and I saw a lot of chatter on Twitter and others social media about, what is the value of being there in person at Ignite and kind of going down that list. And really the top of the list is being able to actually have a conversation with someone about not just the session they're going to or in or just came out of, but also about their job and what's going on and what am I really, there's a lot of people who are saying, I'm going to Ignite because I have 3 big things that I've got to figure out, right, for my job.
Yeah.
And so some of those, I think a great thing this year that was enabling that and encouraging that one-on-one conversation as well as the group think and trying to help people out were those meetups that were arranged, being able to do those one-on-ones in the community area to say, okay, we're going to come in and talk about whatever topic, single parenting or, in the workplace or, those kind of topics. And I'm just trying to figure this out. You guys enabled being able to create those and say, here, I want to do this. And once it was approved, it was in the schedule and people can just join and have those conversations. It was a great, I think, the team did a great job this year of encouraging those conversations. And so to Darrell's point, people were willing to have those conversations because it was really the theme for the whole week was conversation and include everyone and get voices from different areas and different places in life and et cetera. So that was great.
Yeah, I think, when you think of an event as large as Ignite, you have 30,000 people who are there to learn, and sometimes they're learning through each other. If we wanted just to do a classic event, we would just have focused on, breakouts and theatre sessions and an expo and then be done for the day. But we really feel that well, we did two things differently. One, we made sure that every single breakout and theatre session, general session, keynote was available online. And as a result of that, yeah, thank you. We live streamed it. Everything was recorded, and we're trawling through everything and posting it all, not only on YouTube, but it's already live on MSIgnite. YouTube will be available October 1st, so just so you know. And as a result of that, you know, we had a whole conference happening live outside of Ignite. So I think the numbers were around 22,000 people who were streaming online. And so that's huge for us. Like if you add the 30,000 with the 22, that's a significant conference. And so to your point, people were saying, well, what's the value of being there, of paying the $2,500 to be there, and it's really the community. So we really wanted to double down on the live streaming. We wanted to double down on the community engagement, and I was always thinking about the two elements of community: those who already know each other and allowing them to have the space to reconnect, and then giving those who are fairly new, who may have just traveled completely on, to be able to find their own people and be able to make those connections, so that hopefully by this time next Ignite, when they come back and reconnect, they've already had a year's worth of conversation and can just continue to grow professionally and personally.
That connection,
Daniel,
I think, is really important for finding your group, right, and finding your world. But you're definitely not alone in this tech community. You know, there are people who are in your role. There are people in your life situation, maybe not exactly, but really close. And that really is important to foster those connections. So I thought that was great. Yeah,
but also the ability to learn about something new. Like if you've never dabbled in Power BI or machine learning, there are other people who are very willing and happy to share how you can make a start and or just have a one-on-one conversation. So I think that's really great.
Yeah,
I have to be one of those people who was inspired to finally look at Flow by going to
even I've looked at Flow.
I know. Look, I think this is symptomatic. It's symptomatic of, I guess, what we'll talk about after we take a quick dance through the announcements. Is because of the rate of change, you do tend to focus on stuff. But when a community and someone inspires you to go and take a look at something, like someone said to me, if you are willing to spend half an hour to watch a video, half an hour to practice, that's an hour investment to just learn one thing about Flow. That could potentially save you hours and hours and hours. That was one thing. And that was from Tracy and Lorian's shake and bake session, or bake and shake. I forget what it was called. The recipes one.
With the aprons awesome. And
that's it.
That's
it. Hey,
that's the thing, right? Oh, sorry.
No, you continue. I'll
set
up.
I was just going to say your direct community. They're teaching you, right? So, but anyway, I'll let you continue on. I don't want to hijack your podcast. This is your show.
You're a special guest.
No.
I'm just only sorry that we took 8 minutes to get ready. So I'm sorry, online audience. We're going to push it through to get our full half hour because we've paid for it with Anna. So if you're willing to stick around after the half hour. I know. What did you? Yeah. Okay. Gotta go. My agent's calling me. Shall we share the screen? I'll share my screen and we'll get on to.
Okay.
Oh gee, I hope I remember how to do this in Pexip. If Graham was on the call, he'd tell me. Share. Let's just try and do it from within Skype. And we're after monitor 3. Let me know when you see my screen.
Will do.
Yeah, looks like it's part of the meeting now.
Yep, can see it. Go for it.
Good day. All right. And so the video will swap around as and when required. All right. So I know I've got it open here on search at the moment, but our week started with 25th.
Let's jump around for a couple of these.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, you
I think
call.
the one that we highlighted before was insights in Excel, being able to grab some formatted table data in Excel and have Excel do some magic and show us some of the stuff that Power BI does. It shows some wonderful graphs and gives some insights as to what's going on. Well, that's been renamed to Ideas, but it's also going to other Office products now being PowerPoint. So we have the ability to gain insights in Excel via Ideas. So I'm going to have to get away from the insights, because that's what it's been called in Power BI, right? To get those ideas in Excel of, looking at trends and saying, something's happening with this line of business or with this book or this vertical, but then also being able to use that AI in PowerPoint and help our presentations really come to life and be better. So I'm really liking this and it being something that is engaging with the user and enabling the user to do more than just, create tabular data or create PowerPoint. So I think it's fantastic, and I know I'll be using it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, I think you could almost rename or relabel some of those suggestions that happen within Outlook to be ideas as well. Hey, I see that there's a task. You're discussing something in there that looks like it's a task. Do you want me to create a task out of that? It's AI, and I think that's probably where if it's giving you an idea about doing something,
Well, we talked about, in the show that we did in Orlando about nudges in Outlook. Being able to, Outlook say, you're scheduling meetings back to back to back, and I know there's a lot of people that do that. Outlook saying, hey, shouldn't you, schedule some time for yourself, to focus on actually getting things done that you're talking about in those meetings. And so, yes, I think this is just yet another example of seeing how we're bringing that AI into our work and how it can benefit us. And I really do like this capability. So what was it called in PowerPoint where we could get the design? Yeah, the design.
Yeah, designer ideas.
Yeah. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. And so yet another way that we can have, PowerPoint helping us to build engaging presentations rather than,
taking the hard work out of it, right?
Yeah, focus on what our content is rather than building a pretty PowerPoint.
Yeah, not everyone is good at that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a starting point. So that's what the idea is. And let's just say that with the idea swap feature or function activity at Ignite, I think there was a lot of ideas and starting points that people gained out of that. Should we jump down to this new scheduled management and home screen features coming to Teams? Sure. Was it? Yeah. All right.
So this is, that, and another focus I think this year at Ignite and also from Microsoft in general is first line workers and really focusing on improving their experience in the organization. Mm-hmm. It's, oftentimes they are seen as a second-class citizen when it comes to technology, and bringing them in to enabling them to not only get their job done, but feel a part of the organization. So this is another way that we're bringing that schedule management through in teams and having them be a part of the organization and really, get a place of being, a feeling of a part of that.
Let me say this actually makes a lot more sense than having a separate app to maintain and have. I think it was the first one was really based around the Outlook groups. That's when Staff Hub sort of followed on after that. But it makes far more sense to be in the Teams experience, that it's a conversation and the core conversation experience of Teams and the relevant tabs that might be used to swap around your shifts or issue shifts and schedule the things that you want. So when it's schedule management, just to further explain, first line workers, let's think of a service industry that they want to schedule people to be in to go to Ruby's Diner and they need people to cover that. So as a team, they can do a lot more from within that Microsoft Teams experience to schedule, and think of that brilliant experience now on the the mobile app for Teams. So that's where that comes in. Let's jump into another one, Dan. I think one that's really quite important, was a big deal, was Microsoft Search. If I can, I'm going to try and, I've got it open on another tab, but I'll just briefly explain it. We heard about this last year, that search was going to be from wherever you are. And Naomi Moneypenny has done a lot of work internally with Microsoft to help bring the teams together, different departments, different product groups. It has been a bit of work because, the one Microsoft thing, it's definitely there. It just, sometimes it takes a bit to try and coordinate all that. And this is crucial for Microsoft Search, is being able to go somewhere. Let's say you're in SharePoint, so that we expect Search to work there. What about the Office 365 landing page? Yeah, we expect that to be there. But what? We can search from Bing as well, and we get like a Bing for Business experience. So it's actually come to fruition. Do you guys want to see it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Right. Now,
I think that the search experience, really the story of being able to find what you need, no matter if you're in a search, traditional search experience in a browser, or you're in SharePoint, like you mentioned, or you're in an Office document, right? And being able to, I'm in Word and I need to search for stuff, be able to jump up the top bar and just start searching. I think this is like the next huge jump in content for collaboration. Being able to find things has been a pet peeve for everybody forever. I create something and I want to go back to it, or I want to find something someone shared or something. It's crucial to get that information to your fingertips so you can be efficient. If all you're doing is searching, then you're not efficient.
We're going to see some intelligent search. Okay, so it's going to know who you are, who you've been interacting with based on the graph, and it helps to eliminate the what search tool when. So when we click on one of the messages there about enrolling, once it is available in your tenant, you can go through these steps of setting it up as an IT admin. So if we pop in there, let's have a look at our Zoom. Bing for Business, enrollment guide. So there is a search service that you'll be able to go through and activate, and you basically turn that on and allow company to have access. And then you can access the Bing admin portal. So if we just jump out of here, we've got the other one. So you might already be a user, so you can sign in. Let's just zoom out of that.
Well, and while you're doing that, one thing I think is interesting is this is off by default. So many times we talk about in the show, as our viewers know, things are turned on by default. And so this is something that, why this show exists is for us to tell, help out administrators and enablers to understand what is important here. It's important that this is off by default and you have to go through this process to enroll. So to get the goodness, you have to go through that process.
Right. So note, okay, I am in a Chrome web browser. I'm getting the regular Bing, so I'm seeing all the usual search and stuff that's there. So searching for the word me. I think that's just how it goes there as an example. But there's this bar that is hidden and collapsed at the moment. And if you want to see results from your Office 365 tenant regarding 365, we hit expand. And some of the signals that it's getting are it's looking for files, conversations in Teams, and there's a few other things I haven't really got into looking at yet, but we can see if I'm looking for let's have a look at sketches. Maybe sketches would be a good one, because we know that there's a document that works. Sketches. So we've got, the regular sketchers, and then we expand to see some results from within our organization. So we actually see some of the sketches that Louisa had done as concept art before within our team notebook, and then a conversation, which if I click through, then that's going to open up the Microsoft team, and it's actually going to try and launch it in Microsoft Teams. So we won't go through that and wait for that to log in, but you get the point. It's going to take me straight through to that. So I know that there's some further administrative controls to have a look at, but I think, just go and explore it for yourself, because And if we have a look over here, he's governor. I can see that I'm signed in as governor, so I have signed into Office 365 and it's picking that up. And if we expand that, we can go through and see some of our search settings. So picking all that up, yeah. Go and have a look at it, check it out. And I can see that there's going to be a lot of things that, oh, that's right. There was something else that I wanted to show here. Here we go. So you can refine and show just files, sites, conversations. And I know, oh, look, there's something in there for Yammer. I don't think our team's actually using Yammer at the moment. We've focused our thing on that. But there is a place here where you can set up key questions, things that you want to highlight in search. You can even import your best bets that you might have from SharePoint. So
yeah, that's something I wanted to
there.
mention is that the only pushback that I've heard about this experience when it was being for business, right, and was I don't want my content being mixed in with Bing results, and there was that fear of it being available and then confusing for users and stuff. But for many people who have been already working with SharePoint, especially on-prem, but bringing in multiple, you search through file shares, you can search in SharePoint, you can search other systems. And so many of us have already been doing that for a long time, of bringing separate sources in for searching. So don't want people to be afraid of using this or that it's confusing for users.
I think we, because I work for Microsoft, you guys have been in this community for such a long time, they've seen through that evolution, especially with Delve, right, and my analytics, and can see all the different signals and how this is all surfacing content to us. But for someone who's seeing this for the first time and seeing all of it up front, it's definitely going to be confusing. So the first thing I thought of was user adoption and helping people understand, well, why is this being surfaced to me, and why am I seeing something that someone else who doesn't work for the company that I work for sees something else?
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, let's. I know that there's a lot more announcements in there, but you've reminded me, Anna, that really there's a super important topic that we can really start to zero in on now, which is a surprising emerging theme. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can just get some of our faces back up again and focused on that. Tracy Vanderscave saw this. I saw this. We heard it talked about from Julia White at the keynote, that very first part where she's talking about changing of a mindset, and that what we need to do as IT pros. We've been having to deal with change, and it's only going to get faster. Certainly with the phrase of tech intensity that's come through, and when Sachi was talking in the keynote, I think that people reacted to that and sort of thought, well, let's actually check out this thing called adoption and change management. Let's think about the people side of this equation, because there were hundreds of people in some of these sessions, hundreds, and they were IT pros, not just people there for change management. What do you think about that?
Me?
Both of you.
I mean, not everyone has been on the same path. In terms of, and one thing that you may or may not have seen that was on the show floor next to the community area was the Microsoft Learn area. There was an assessment that Sharon Liu's been heading up called the IT Maturity Assessment Model. You're definitely a big part of that, and thank you for all your help in helping us get here. But yeah, like everyone's on a different path. There are definitely laggards, and they have as very, they can have a very specific profile. I did research probably 2 years ago and certainly saw that these are people who are of a lot older generation. They tend to work for local government type organizations. They're just not as keen on adopting or even just very confused about the cloud in general. And then you have people who are really the innovators, and they tend to be probably more on the millennial side of the demographic spectrum. But they're the ones who are really leading the change and also partnering heavily with the business in order to support what they need, instead of just trying to standardize everything and make everything run efficiently from an IT perspective. They really want to make sure that they're pivotal to the business's goals and objectives and where they want to be 3 to 5 years from now. So there's still plenty to learn, and there's still plenty of people who are only just starting to come around and go, okay, I'm starting to really see that my job is on the line if I'm not understanding how to meet the needs of my users and the business too. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think we have seen that for a few years now, where we get resistance to the change, but the change keeps coming. And so I think what I'm seeing with my customers is actually some bending and some acceptance of change. I'm working with an engineering firm right now implementing Office 365 groups and SharePoint storage for all of their projects, for all of their construction projects, are going to be using Office 365 groups functionality, so for email, for storage, and using. So before they were all paper. Even if it was electronic, it got printed and was paper, right? Now it's going completely opposite. And I think we're starting to see people are, okay, change is coming. I can't get out of the way of it, or I can't hold it back. I have to let it happen. And it's more about, okay, so what do I need to do? And really what we're seeing and what we were talking about before was we're going to need to change. We can't be IT pros that are strictly about the software. I know everything about software and I can answer any of your questions. That's great, but you need to actually go ask questions from the business. And you need to be enabling your company, enabling your business to do what it needs to do. And be a part of that rather than just the person that is installing and maintaining a system. System.
And change is going to come in so many different forms. So reason why I'm here in Nashville actually is because I wanted to take some time out, spend some time with you, Daniel, but really actually it was because my friend moved to Morristown, Tennessee, and I was like, well, I'm going to pass through, I want to say hello, and I do want to visit Nashville. But she moved from Seattle to help out her family and their insurance business. This is a business that's been around for 40 years, and I hung out with their family over the weekend, watched some football, and we started talking about Microsoft and what I do, and they were talking about, we don't even see the need for OneDrive because I could literally walk across to the other table and just give them the file. And then we started talking about different scenarios and talking about, do you have issues with version control? And, and that started a conversation about that. And so but then the father who, owns the business basically said, you know what, I'm all for it, but I don't know how to use this, and I don't know how to train my staff, and I need my IT person to help. And they're obviously an outsourced resource, and they either aren't available or too busy, but there is a lot of hunger and appetite for people to try and figure out how this is going to work, because this is a business that's been around for 40 years. They've got their next generation literally in their family wanting to help the business grow, and they're struggling to figure out where to start. So
I know there's still a sizable population that haven't yet moved to the cloud for various reasons, held back by compliance or regulatory reasons or budgetary requirements. And look, I think one thing that surprised me too was the audience that is there and is feeling that tech intensity as things change. They're also wanting to, really take on the improvements that have been delivered to them, but they're struggling to keep up. And, Daniel mentioned that it's a typical IT pro mindset that they've got this huge expectation on themselves to have the answers and to know everything, or even just to fake it and say, I'll get back to you. But I think the mindset change that is happening now is, man, we've got to do this as a community. We can't just put it on ourselves to know the answers. We have to depend on and learn together with people, so that I've got enough knowledge to figure out the technical side, but let's explore your use case, your scenario, and let's try and figure this out together. And that, I think, is going to, when you relax and you allow that to happen within governance, you allow people to make choices, and you try these choices out with people, then that's going to form a new level of trust. It may even heal some trust between the IT department and people. Because remember, and I don't know if you remember this, Dan, but I mean, back in my studies, that was one of the first things they told us. We're becoming IT pros because we are here to enable people to work and achieve more. And if we're too busy doing this, trying to keep the lights on and, and too scared to look up and be assigned another task, that's what needs to change, depending on our people that we support as co-discoverers and creators in this way of supporting.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's kind of a transition point here, and it falls right in line with this, of how do you keep that learning continuing and how do you keep growing? It's not that you can go to a Ignite once a year and that be enough, right? There's a lot of changes going on, and there's other conferences, but I mean, how do you make that happen? And I think the big announcement that really started paying attention to the end of last week was this concept of taking Ignite on tour and taking it around the globe, taking the concept of what Ignite is, and as well as that learning experience to the users where they are, if they can't make it their way. So that's one thing that I was really happy to be able to have Anna here, because to talk about this, what is the Ignite Tour? Why are we doing it? And where are we starting out? And what should people expect from those stops?
Well, let's just say it's not exactly a new concept, because we did the Microsoft Tech Summits last year, and this is just the evolution of those tech summits. We've always had a strategy where Ignite is our biggest tier one big announcement event, where we gather 30,000 IT pros and developers together to learn from anything level 100 all the way down to level 400. And we know that we can't get every single IT pro out there. So that's why we're not only investing in the live streaming and the on-demand content, but we also want to get that same experience, well, not same, but similar experience in terms of the event experience, to specific regional locations, so that we can actually get, the same engineers and product managers in a face-to-face environment to help them with their challenges, or questions about user adoption, like we mentioned earlier. So we're going to across 17 cities. We're going to hit the road starting in Berlin in December, and then we're going to finish up in May in Mumbai. So if you want to take a look at where we are heading, go to microsoft.com/ignite the tour, all one word. That's sort of the short URL, and you can see where we're heading. And of course, those are not the only ways to learn. We will have our Microsoft subsidiaries who, may represent some of these countries here, and maybe even other cities, but they will also be running their own events too. They don't have a corporate-led motion, in terms of they're not going to have the same people from the product engineering teams there, but certainly people from the services organization and local product marketing managers will also be there to, facilitate with that sort of engagement. But, something that, we don't want to take away from is all the community events, like the SharePoint North America and all the other user group events that are happening. There is so much to learn, and we want to arm you with all that content. That's why we've put it all online. The PowerPoint decks are either already there or in the process of being loaded onto the tech community. So you can, as community members, be empowered to deliver that same presentation to your constituents who may not even know what Ignite is, right? And then on the flip side, let's not talk about events. Let's talk about the online community. This community was a really big part of Microsoft Ignite, where it was practically part of the whole experience, where all of the recordings, all the live streams were there, all the engagement was there. And we really want people to see, hey, like, once Ignite is over, and even once an Ignite tour event is over, you can still, continue your learning. And if you still have open questions, it's not like you have to wait till the next event comes through your neck of the woods. You can still continue to ask questions and probably get a faster response that way. So, yeah.
I think it's a great place to start that conversation and getting to know people and finding your group. If you're not in an event, how do you do that? Well, Tech Community is a perfect place to start that conversation.
Yeah, and I just had a quick look before. We have over 10,000 people online right now. Like, imagine that brains trust being able to help you on questions ranging from anything from Azure to Windows Defender. Yeah, it's all in there.
To change management and culture and mental health.
Exactly.
All sorts of topics. And look, the other thing too there.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to finish off and say that if you aren't a member of the tech community, become one. Use your Office 365 account or Microsoft 365 account, and then you can go to MSIgnite and create your own little schedule. Which I'm sure is going to be there for some time, so you can create your own little learning path and watch your videos, and then don't forget to add your comments to that session afterwards, and keep that conversation going.
That's right. Exactly right. We've had a lively conversation in the chat room today. Appreciate everyone being here, and I think some new people, so I'm excited about that. Thank you for joining us. I hope the conversation has been great. Any last words for us, Anna? Other than go to Tech Community, sign up if you're not already there.
Take a look at the upcoming events that are happening with Ignite the Tour. Register. It's free. It's 2 days of deep technical learning, and we've designed it so that you can actually take some time out from your working day to actually be with your community and with Microsoft staff that are traveling there. Make an investment to really, dive through all the content and see who's there. We will have an expert directory or a speaker directory. I mean, even though I'm trying to take some time off after the hecticness of Ignite, we are still deep in planning mode for Ignite the Tour. I am going to be seeking out content from our MVP and RD community. So if you're in our MVP and RD world, then please make sure you look out for an email that is due to come out from my outbox soon. So we're looking for not only theatre sessions and people to deliver Microsoft breakout sessions, but we are looking for original breakout content from our community. We're also really excited about the wonderful diversity in tech programming that we did at Ignite. So we want to continue that with Shauna on Ignite the Tour. We also want to support a lot of local user groups. So one thing that we haven't really shared is that we're sponsoring local user groups. We don't know how many we can per city, but we really want to support local communities and allow the venue to host these folks too. So if there's any city that looks really interesting close to your community, do let us know either through a local MVP, or if you're an MVP yourself, please nominate them.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much, Anna, for joining us. I know that was, unexpected. Ta-da! Yes. But it was good. I know that there's a lot more that we're going to cover as a team regarding 365 around some of these bigger topics. The evolution of the IT Pro. Dan, as always, thanks for hosting and organising Anna on the sly. We don't have a nice smooth finish with an outro, so I'm going to just say that we're finishing there, and we're going to have a little chit chat as like a B-roll while I wait for the YouTube stream to finish off. But waving it out, thanks everyone for coming.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Good stuff, guys. That was awesome. We'll just keep talking.
No, he didn't know.
I didn't
know.
No.
I didn't piece it together because you said that you were heading through Nashville, but I didn't realize that was the. Yeah.
Well, I'm going straight to Seattle tomorrow morning, so it was really just a quick stop. I've only heard good things about Nashville, so I thought, why not? And I just didn't want to go into hurricane country either, so this felt safe, really.
Yeah. The